And I always sang, but I used to sing like, kids songs and like annoy everyone in the house. So I always wanted to be a singer.
Edgey, what about you, my friend?
I forgot the question. Like how we got started in music.
Well, how was your upbringing? Where were you born, and how did music came into your life? Was it something similar to Delila, family, or how did that happen?
It's hard to remember when I first got into music because I felt like it was something that was just always there. Like you were born with music. You know what I'm saying? Like I have very vivid memories of when I was 2, 3, 4 years old or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like probably my best memories are from that age. You know what I mean? And what I remember most about my childhood is the music. You know, so I would I was like obsessed with the Beatles. I see you got your Beatles shirt on. My father, he's the one that listened to rock music. You know what I mean? But he's Portuguese, and there was a dictatorship here until 1974. And funny enough, the Beatles never played Portugal. Rock music was like outlawed. It was like if you heard it, it was like underground. I don't have to go into it, I guess, like how messed up it was in Portugal at that time during the dictatorship. But it's as bad as you can think it is, you know, under a fascist dictatorship. But he got into bands like the Beatles, and another one of his favorite bands was not the Rolling Stones, Creedence Clearwater. So those were my introduction to rock music. Were the Beatles and Creedence Clearwater, right? I was like obsessed with them.
I like Creedence a lot. His voice.
Totally. And we always knew there were bands from like the past of another era, but it just felt so contemporary to me, even at a very young age. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet, bro. So it's like I'm talking like 4 years old. That's all. I would make mixtapes of music and modern music too, whatever. I listened to everything, but my introduction to rock was the Beatles and Creedence Clearwater. Later on, the blues and all that, but I didn't start with that. I started with Beatles and Creedence Clearwater.
So that's basically what your dad was listening at home? Did he have like records? Would he be spinning records at home and then you would pick up on the music?
He would work all the time. So if he wasn't like fucking sitting there, like, you know, listening to like telling me like, listen how great music sounds on vinyl. You know what I mean? He's not doing that. The dude rock bell bottoms, you know what I mean? He had the stash going. But he wasn't like, he didn't have this like big audio collection, vinyl collection or anything like that. Like, it's just music that he listened to all the time, mostly in the car when he would go to the field to play soccer or went to the bar. Yes, I went to the bar at the age of 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, so did she. You know what I mean?
So I guess from Delila's influence from home and then yours from home as well, eventually you guys started to dig into it and then basically go on, well, to the decade before 50s and the emergence of the blues and things like that. Because I know that lots of like Howling Wolf is a huge influence on you guys and Janis and
but rock and roll's not. I mean, no, we got to correct that. I don't know if Delila wants to chime in here, but it wasn't that we were just into music. I'm speaking for myself. Delila was the same, but she could tell you, music was everything. It ruled every part of my life, even before kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Like it was 24/7 music. Like that's all I cared about. I'd sit there for hours making mixtapes. I would be pulling radios apart and then putting it back together just to see what the hell's in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just music. Like it was an obsession. It just took over my entire life since I could ever remember. You know what I mean? But there was no obsession with rock at one point. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, it was all hip hop, and now you can.
Yeah, I think I didn't really get into rock until like senior year of high school or something. It was like more, I don't know. I was listening to like more like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey like stuff, like a lot of that like growing up. So I was like hear the voices. I was like obsessed with voices and would like try to like hit all the notes and like be in my room with the CD rewinding, like, how did you say? I should like do that note and all that.
No, if I was listening to this podcast, I think that you were like, you first came out as an artist in like 1960s or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about Creedence Clearwater, Beatles. She's talking about Aretha Franklin. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I didn't say Aretha Franklin. I said Mariah Carey.
And Aretha Franklin. She said, Whitney Houston.
Well, it does come to me as a surprise that you were actually more into, say, Mariah Carey in the beginning, and you, Edgey, into hip hop than actually what I actually get to hear in your music. But I'm sure we're going to get to that. But that's really interesting because it broadens even more your spectrum of musical influences, and you know.
Yes and no, but yes, but within the rock genre, that spectrum, it gets narrower for us. I don't know much about rock music. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I don't. I can't tell you. Our rock spectrum is very narrow, and the reason why is because we grew up on a lot of, like what Delila was saying. In her case, it was more R&B. I grew up on a lot of hip hop. I find it incredibly difficult to transition back over to rock after going into hip hop. And the reason why is because if you listen to the lyrics of Nas, Biggie Smalls, Tupac, and if I start listening to underground rappers, it goes on forever. You know what I mean? Even like artists like Big L, I could keep on going. If you listen to those lyrics, right? Rock becomes elementary. It's almost like a second grader wrote it. Not even a first grader wrote it. You know what I'm saying? You can't transition over. We're talking about wordsmiths and people so sick with the pen on the level of like Edgar Allan Poe. This is Mozart words. You know what I mean? How am I going to listen to rock music with the same old shit about a bullet coming, you shot me in the heart, I love you, this, the devil, 666, this and that. Motherfuckers live in the city, bro. Like, or a young rock band that comes out talking about mama and flower power, flowers in her hair. No one's got fucking flowers in their hair, bro. There's no flower power. It's dead. The words are reductive. You're copying David Bowie. You're literally copying and pasting the words of a David Bowie chorus, and you're sticking it right into your fucking song. You didn't live it. There's nothing I can relate to about that. You know what I mean? Biggie comes along. It's either you sell crack or you got a wicked jump shot. What the fuck? That one line destroys the entire 10 years of rock music. It's hard to make the transition.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Yeah, hip hop is real. Hip hop is definitely, but I guess there's so many layers into all of the genres of music, and we're obviously talking about the artistical aspects of the lyricism that hip hop brings to society and to the broader audiences. But then obviously there's different layers in terms of like what happens with the audiences that connect with that kind of music and the type of message that us, the audience, and most of us are ignorant, and we follow suicidal, whatever Ozzy Osbourne used to sing in the 80s, and we commit suicide because we think that the artist is actually sending an ethereal message to us that we have to commit suicide. So with that in mind, obviously words like the Beatles, you know, She Loves You, Yeah, it's just what you said. It looks very...
No, but that's not what I meant. First of all, I'm sorry, I misquoted Biggie. I just thought about it now. It's either you sell rocks or you got a wicked jump shot. It's not crack, it's rocks. You know, some people would kill me for messing that lyric up. But no, rock, the reason what got us into rock early on was not just the music, but also the melodies and the lyrics. Creedence had great lyrics. John Lennon is one of the greatest rock poets or lyric writers ever in history. I've never heard a song like Imagine in my whole entire life. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. There is no one doing that. You know what I'm saying? That's why we decided to make rock music, because no one's doing it. I don't know a single rock poet in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? That's known, at least. Like, I don't know any. I don't. Not at the level of Leonard Cohen. Where are they at? No one's trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to do it. And rock musicians are afraid to say anything. We're at war right now. There's a war going on. You know what I'm saying? I don't see a single anti-war activist except for like one or two. Maybe Roger Waters. Give me another anti-war activist. They're scared.
Yeah,
you got to say something about that. I know.
I guess it's extremely complicated as well in every sense. Obviously, Roger Waters, he can go out there and he's got his life sorted out. Whatever he says, if he pisses off like half of the world, it's not gonna change his life or his career, And I personally see it as, everything when it's like happening for the first time, any artist that we mentioned here for the last 50, 60 years, whenever something is being touched, any subject, the first time somebody throws a television out of the hotel room, the first time someone, creates chaos out in society, and then it's, first a page of the local newspaper back in the day, that would be obviously the way to promote themselves. And that marketing agencies behind the artist would be setting up those things in order to get that free promo, because there was no social media or internet. But nowadays it's kind of like, if I go out there and as an artist, and I want to embody the rock and roll spirit of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I'm not gonna last very long in this business of ours nowadays, because that's not cool anymore, and that's not something.
Why is that the spirit of rock and roll?
Because that's what it was portrayed to us as being that, and we know for a fact that most of the things that were portrayed to us, they were not even real. People still believe that Axl Rose was a drug addict and a crazy person using drugs. Well, mate, go watch the videos of Use Your Illusion tour and that guy running on stage and screaming like a motherfucker. If you think that guy was doing cocaine and drinking booze before going on stage, I'm sorry to tell you, you're wrong.
Patti Smith never did anything. I don't think she drank either. Everyone thought she did because her hair was always crazy and all that. But
they think you do.
Yeah, I think people just think. I act the same if I drink and I don't drink, so I'm the same person. I don't know.
You guys don't drink at all, do you?
I used to.
Yeah.
I drink a lot. I stopped a few years ago, but I actually feel like I can express myself more without drinking. It's like a weird thing. Now it becomes much more real. I can have a realer connection to people.
But I'm talking drinking in the sense of say New Year's Eve, let's toast with a glass of bubbly. Is it something that you guys don't do? You don't even touch alcohol? Is that kind of level?
I actually stopped it completely, but I might start it again on this tour, just a little bit.
Oh my God. Why did I ask?
But no more whiskey. I can't drink. I'm allergic now. I think I drank too much whiskey, and now I'm allergic. I can only drink clear vodka or tequila, I think.
Oh my God. Going straight to spirits, Delila. Straight to the heavy stuff.
I only drink heavy stuff, though. No beer. That's boring.
Fair enough. So basically, when Edgey, there's something that is at the back of my mind here, because you said that music was 24/7 for you and things were happening. Would you say that flame, because at some point, what I'm trying to get here, for all of us, music entered our life somehow. You mentioned it at home. Is there a specific moment that you remember that you listened to something, you listened to a particular song or particular music, and that basically drove your whole system into overdrive, and then music became what you just described to us?
No, it was from the very beginning. It wasn't one specific moment that kicked me into overdrive. I was on overdrive as far back as my memory takes me. And I don't know why. It's the weirdest, strangest thing. Why? Why the hell did a kid, I don't know. I'm terrible with ages. I just know that it was 2 years before fucking kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? That's how I measured life. Oh fuck, first grade. Oh shit, still gotta fucking go to school. That's how I know life. You know what I'm saying? So I just remember just being obsessed with melodies, music, tunes. The fucking Ice Cream Man, I chased him around the block. I know that music too. You know what I mean? Like everything was just like it was all about music. You know, but there was nobody else. It's just me. When I met Delila, that's the other person that I've met in my life that was obsessed with music as well. My friends listened to music constantly, but it wasn't an obsession where it ruled their entire lives, except for maybe one or two people. But
yeah, my friends, yeah, they had like two of my friends were dancers, but no one was obsessed with music.
Yeah.
Where
It's
did you,
like a 24/7 thing almost.
We can't even drive without picking the right song. I'll be outside after 20 minutes. I need the right fucking song.
But why would you doing it?
where did you guys meet?
Oh man, Long Island, New York.
Yeah, at some like goth cafe or something. Was it
Yeah.
goth cafe? Would you consider it a goth cafe?
I don't know, maybe, yeah. It was like an alternative kind of started off as like an anti, like how do you even describe it?
It was a social occasion, basically. It was not.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
right.
but it was like one of these places where like where metalheads and fucking people that are like the countercultural people types would hang out. You know what I mean? It was like one of those spots.
And
Very
we were
cool.
both like getting in at the same time, like before we met, we were both getting into like the older blues, like the lineage of blues and going back, like picking up records, even like Bob Dylan. I just started getting to Bob Dylan. I'm like, oh my God, his lyrics. And we were like obsessed with lyrics. Like,
So, Delila, tell me a bit about how you said you were always singing at home. How did you start singing? How did it become something that you were actually doing on a regular basis as a teenager?
I don't know. I think I know when I was very little, I would just be singing like whatever music I heard, like Blondie, or I remember like Bob Dylan. My jamming was like me and my dad's song. We're jamming, like so. We're like,
your dad comes up a lot. Her dad comes up a lot in this interview. I don't know if you noticed. So your musical influence came from your dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And did you undergo any specific training? Did you study singing? Did you attend any sort of conservatory, anything like that? How's your technical development as a singer?
I did like a few years of classical music, and at one point I was like considering like just doing classical, like early. I forgot now even the genre of classical. It's this genre with the loop. It's like a loop player and a voice. It's like early. I can't even remember what it is now. Like a Baroque or something.
Baroque,
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Like a specific style, which is weird because it feels like a totally different like lifetime ago, and like I can't imagine like doing that now. Like, but it's because it was so. I liked understanding the voice. Like when I studied voice, I was like, oh, okay, that's why like I breathe so much, and like breath is like the main thing when you sing. Like that's what I got from like classical music, like understanding like how the notes are, like where they are in your head.
Funny fact, I graduated as a classical singer. I studied three,
Really?
yeah, I studied 3 years in the classical conservatory of music. So I studied classical singing, and I used to sing like in a very operatic way. And
Yeah.
so I do know exactly what you're talking about in terms of understanding your whole system, how to obviously look after it, and how to create projection, and how to understand yourself. It helps to understand yourself as within your own body, doesn't it? Because how it resonates, how you bring this note up here, how do you do things in that. I was a vocal coach for many years as well, so singing is something that I haven't practiced now for many years, but I started myself as a musician.
We gotta bring us some classical back. And
Absolutely.
jam on the road. We gotta like.
Absolutely. I mean, I've just did a tour with a Dutch band called Within Temptation, and Sharon, the singer, she never really took lessons, and she doesn't particularly like taking lessons. And when I mentioned it to her that I had this knowledge, we started basically doing warm-ups before the shows, and she loved it. We started just working out, it's just literally just getting, stretching your body and getting loose and getting the breathing going, relaxing your muscles, the tongue, larynx, etc., etc. Like get going and then do some vocalizers. I mean, just get yourself in that, because I mean, a lot of the not, I guess nowadays not so much, but people used to think that singing was just like, mainly rock singers used to think that, you know, singing is just something that it just happens, but it's like any other instrument. You kind of have to work it out, you have to look after it, you have to practice it. If you don't play your guitar for an entire week and you pick up the guitar again, you will obviously be able to play, but you feel the difference, don't you?
Yeah. I feel the difference on the first show, because it doesn't matter how much you rehearse, it doesn't make a freaking difference. As soon as that show starts, by the second song or third song, your hand's cramping up, like, this is not normal, what's going on? Live, you play differently than you would if you practice. It's much more intense, there's a lot going on, you're probably utilizing muscles that you don't usually, or you are using those muscles, but you're using them differently, if you will.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ella. Go ahead.
When the last summer tour, our first show is opening for Guns N' Roses. It was like a big stage.
Oh, yeah.
And we got COVID, like right before the show. And I never felt like that in my life, where like I had to use every like inch of like energy to like breathe. So like, and like,
no.
I never realized how physical the show is. And when we had COVID and going in to do a show, I was like, oh, so physical. Like,
but it's interesting, isn't it? Because on those occasions, I mean, you learn a lot about yourself and your capabilities as well. Dealing with that particular concert gave you both tools that you didn't have before. Now you know.
Bro, come on. We learned those lessons way before that, bro. Like, if I told you shit that happened to us on the tour, man, you wouldn't even believe it. All right?
I'm definitely going to be up to hearing those stories. That's for sure.
Yo, I'm telling you, man, I don't even know, like, that first tour we've done, how we were so dysfunctional, and we had simultaneously, we had the worst luck and good luck at the same time. But, yo, it was just... It tested us in a billion different ways.
Sorry, Edgey, but when you say your first tour, which tour are you talking about?
First tour we were done. She was sick the whole time. She had bronchitis. She couldn't recover.
I got pneumonia. We did a tour where it was like we would call places. There's like one of those, we got in the van and went.
Yeah.
We were in New York. We had a show in Washington State. So we had to drive across the country for our first show.
Oh.
Was this before the first album was released?
No, we were stupid.
This is before We Will Rain. Yeah.
You got to understand the stupidity of the people in that van. There was 4 of us. And I don't know who's the dumbest in that van. Like, I don't know what happened. I'm not the same person. Like, I can't believe how dumb we were. We would drive straight through snowstorms. Like, I don't know how we didn't die, how we didn't drive over a cliff. We didn't see anything. There was nothing in front of us.
In Montana on the way to Washington State. In the snowstorm, we had to sleep in the van in the snowstorm.
Yeah. All we saw was white.
I got pneumonia, though.
We're driving and we see white. Just white. I can't see if there's a car in front of us. I'm like, yo, like, we just stopped and started sleeping
next to each other with our amps, and like putting our noses down.
Yeah.
Really bad.
In Vegas, a fucking 80-something-year-old man tried to rape me, bro. It was a crazy
that was very random.
We went. That's a random. That's a story for another time.
Random.
That was traumatic, by the way. Then we went to Texas. No. We did go to Texas. We ended up in Mexico. I got food poisoning, or 2 of us got food poisoning in Mexico, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like Matsuma's Revenge, but it's some shit I haven't felt before. The tour lasted like 2.5 months. We finally make it back home, and I couldn't even sleep in the house. I'm like, I need to sleep in the van now. I developed some kind of complex. It was fucking weird, dude. This is weird. But I'll never forget the drummer. The bassist never made it back home. He stayed in Texas. We dropped him off. He stayed in Texas. So 3 of us made it back.
Still there.
He's still there, bro. So 3 of us made it back. And I'll never forget this. The drummer, who we still talk to, he's a good friend of ours. I'm surprised any of us remained friends after that. And Delila and I wouldn't talk to each other. We'd go like days without even saying hello. It was crazy.
We were miserable.
So it was miserable, bro. So then we get
but
back
also
home.
fun too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's fun because you like look back on it, but it was torture at the time.
When we got back though, it was the funniest thing. The drummer turns to us. He's getting stuff out of the van. It was the most depressing scene. We're broke. The most depressing thing you could probably think of. He turns to me, and I'll never forget this. He goes, "Oh man, that was hard." And I paused for a second, and me and Delila look at each other like, "No, it wasn't. I'd do it all over again." That actually wasn't hard at all. That was actually one of the best times of my life. There was nothing hard about it. And I really got to thinking of it. Like, we were literally like, we didn't even have money for food. So we'd have to like pick receipts out of the garbage and like call like McDonald's and say they messed up our order. We did that shit, you know, wasn't hard at all. You know what I'm saying? It was actually kind of fun. And the thing is, I'm not glorifying poverty because it's all relative, but you know what I mean? Like, we've seen hardship when we crossed over into Mexico. We see how the majority of the population lives. So when bands tell me that it's difficult to tour or they eat ramen, so fucking what? You're chasing a dream, eat the ramen and shut the fuck up. That's my whole attitude. You want to trade places with somebody? I'll show you trade places with. I'll show you hardship. You know what I'm saying? You never been to war, bro. You never picked up a gun and fucking went into war. You never had, you know, your leg didn't get blown off by a landmine. We're good. Everyone in Hollywood, everyone in the music industry, we're all good, okay? What's hard for us is not sleeping, the schedules, and fucking thinking you're going to pass out, ending up in a hospital because you haven't slept in 5 days, sleep deprived. That's difficult. I get it. There's nothing fun about that. You know what I mean? Checking your pulse, like, oh shit, am I alive? Did my heart just stop? That happens. But this shit needs to be put into perspective. You know what I mean? Any musician that tells me, oh, dude, I can't do the road, it's so hard, you're being a little bitch, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it may be tough, but it's not that hard. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I'm sorry to get off.
Totally. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got a pair of shoes on your feet, bro. You good.
And a
Say,
roof over your head.
What?
And a roof over your head, and health. Health is the most important thing. I think if you've got your health, man. I mean, if you look after yourself and you've got your health, you're capable of anything. You know, if you know, it's definitely if you're unfortunate enough to have some sort of health condition that you inherited from family or something.
That's difficult. That's difficult. We didn't
difficult.
have that though. Now that wasn't the case here. We didn't look out for each other. We didn't. We made it harder for each other.
But then again, that was like you said, it was your first tour, and you're like, you know, teenagers, I presume, or like early 20s or something. So
yeah.
So
but it was funny. One of the memories I had was in Vegas when we were. The drummer disappeared. He threw his wallet into the air with his ID. He had no money in it, so it didn't matter. But his ID was in there. And he disappeared, and we didn't know where he was until the next day. So we don't know if he died or something, if he's like out in the desert somewhere. And we're checking out of the hotel, and we're walking out, and the bass player was kicking a bottle of ketchup through the casino, through the lobby, and everything, and cursing me out. Motherfucker, fuck you. Boom, kicking the bottle of ketchup. Dude, ketchup is like, fuck, the bottle's opening up. There's ketchup. Everybody keeps kicking the ketchup bottle down the fucking lobby. Oh my God, bro. Like, people staring at us. And looking back at that, yo, it is hilarious. It's like,
I'm not even going to ask what was his reasons for like kicking a fucking ketchup container through a fucking hotel and swearing you.
We were carrying all our stuff out because we were checking out. We had no hands. So we had bags of groceries of like breads and whatever the fuck. And a bottle of ketchup fell out, and he had no hands to pick it up. So he just kept kicking it, and every time he kicked it, he cursed me out. Fuck you, boom. You fucking egotistical piece of shit. Boom, he kicks the ketchup again. But like 20 minutes later, we're good again. It's like the weirdest thing, bro. Like,
yeah, so I mean that sounds like someone that is not with the right, you know, mindset, honestly.
None of us, bro. We all sleep in the same bed, 4 of us. We'd wake up in the morning making animal noises and jumping up and down, making monkey noises without saying words. We wouldn't talk to each other. There's no hello. It's just like
noises,
animal noises, like ape noises.
Okay.
And my D, my D, we said a lot. Like, that's it. Very dysfunctional. I'm not that person, so it's strange looking back at that. And I never was that person before that. I don't know what happened. Dude, like, we were both in college. We're educated. We have degrees. You know what I'm saying? I got a master's degree. I can speak. I'm not an idiot. All of a sudden, I join a band, and I can't formulate sentences.
I was going to ask you both about it. I was going to ask Delila if you went to university, and Edgey just confirmed that. But what did you do? What was the course?
Oh my God, I did music therapy. Yes, and I got a job at that was my last job. It was at a nursing home, and I was working with like dementia patients doing music with them. And then actually that was the job I quit so we could do that tour. I ended up quitting, and I told all my patients or whatever, and they were all like, "Yeah, follow your dreams, go do it." They were all like rooting me on.
You promised you'd go back.
I know, I never went back.
Yeah, but I guess having that degree is, I mean, it's always good. It's always good to have that, you know, how would you say, not like accolade, you know, having accolades are never a bad thing, I suppose. And you, Edgey, you did political science?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the force behind you choosing this particular course? And I didn't know you have a master's. Can you please tell me about what's the master's on?
No, it was just, I went to school for music at first, in audio engineering, and I hated it. It just sucked the life out of music. So I wanted to do anything else. So I switched over to like non-declared or whatever. I didn't know what my major was going to be. And I'll never forget, one day somebody said, "Why don't you be a philosophy major?" And I looked at them like they were fucking crazy. I'm like, what? I didn't know what a major was. You gotta understand something. Like, I didn't know anything about nothing. Like, high school, I didn't like it. I'm in college now because I felt they made me go. So I chose audio engineering. I hated it. I didn't know what the majors were. I didn't know there was a list. I didn't know you could go see somebody, like a counselor, and talk about. I didn't know none of this. Okay, so I'm sitting there, and they said philosophy. I'm like, you mean like fucking Socrates and shit? And they're like, it's like, yeah, bro, you can study that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, no, you could. I'm like, I don't believe you. So I saw a counselor that they assigned to me or whatever, and he told me that I could be a philosophy major, but what about philosophy? I'm interested in it. And I told him, like, yo, counselor, I was like, I don't give a fuck about rocks. I don't care how the rock, I don't care about the meaning of life or the meaning of a rock. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to know about that. You know what I mean? I want to know how I could change this fucked up world. Then he goes, oh, there's something called philosophy. Political science. I was like, oh, okay. Is there like a theoretical part of that? He goes, yeah, political theory is one of the categories of political science. I was like, oh, I'll be a political theorist. That sounds awesome. You know what I'm saying? And I'll also never forget, I said, I want to go to Hofstra University or something like that. He put me down. He goes, first, you got to go to community college. Your grades aren't good, and you're not that smart yet. You're not intelligent. That's what he told me. And I'm looking at this dude like, what the fuck? Like, did you just fucking tell me that? I took that as a challenge. I'm like, I got to get my grades up in one semester, bro, because I'm going to Hofstra. And Hofstra, it's almost like Ivy League, or they're talking about switching over to Ivy League. It's not that. I mean, it's not easy to get into. You know what I'm saying? My grades, I can't get into that. The guy was right, but he called me stupid. So within one semester, I had to bring my grade point average up to as high as I could. I don't remember what it was, but man, I paid attention like I never paid attention before, bro. I was a good student for the first time in my life, bro. I was studying and I was learning. I'm like, yo, my brain works. I was like, this I can learn some shit. So it worked, right? And then I got into Hofstra and Adelphi, and every school I applied to, I chose Hofstra. They threatened to kick me out of Hofstra 1 year of being there. They were going to expel me because of my politics. I started organizing people on campus. I was politically active. This is a very right-wing university. So then I applied to SUNY New Paltz because they had the most awesome professors there, and there were radical professors there. Got accepted to that, and I went there, and that was life-changing to me. That is when my real studies began at SUNY New Paltz.
Were you playing music already during this period when you're doing your degree and organizing those things at university? Were you already like playing your guitar? Was it something that was a regular on your life?
At that moment, I was still obsessed with music. I listened to it every day, but I would be in the library all the time. I never hung out. And you ask my friends at my college days, they've never seen me out ever. The most I'll do with them is take a ride with them to 7-Eleven for 20 minutes, and I had to go back and read my journals, and like I would be at the library logging into like JSTOR and all that, like the electronic databases of like academic journals and writings. Yo, man.
So you're reading. So you were 100% focused on your degree at this stage of your life. You're not
I was writing more dissertations than the professors asked for. Like at the end of the year, you do like a dissertation. I write 3 or 4. Like it took over my entire life. And when they did ask for that, like what's your thesis about? I always chose something that they thought was impossible to write about. I'll never forget when I did my master's thesis. They asked me what I was going to write about. And I said, I am going to prove that dialectical materialism, which is Marxism, a brand of or a strain of Marxism, rather, or a methodology in Marxism, if I want to be more accurate, that historical materialism is, in fact, within the metaphysical realm. Marx took Schopenhauer and flipped it on its head, right? When he took the world, he flipped it upside down. He made it about the material, right? And he developed a dialectic that made, I guess, it turned, one study of the world into like a science, right? It's a history and judging history and the future. It's a scientific process, and he developed a dialectic, and then they called it historical materialism. And they took it away from the metaphysical realm. I said, no, dialectical materialism is in the metaphysical realm. And the professor looked at me like I had 2 heads. I goes, nuts. He says, you can't write about that. That makes no sense. You better back it up. I'm like, oh, I'll back it up. I put my whole grade on the line for this, right? I put the whole semester on the line in that class. I submitted my paper. Sure enough, he's like, you made the craziest arguments in here, but it's accepted.
What'd you get on it?
Yo, 4.0, bro. Every class 4.0 except for one feminist teacher I had that I knew it. First day of class, I'm like, oh God, liberal feminist is the worst class ever. Like this teacher, yo, I don't get along with liberal feminists ever. It ain't gonna work out, bro. So I'm sitting there like, should I sit this out because she's gonna ruin my whole GPA? Or should I stick with it? Should I challenge myself?
You're too aggressive as a dude. Like,
no, it's this whole, because liberal feminists, they merge, they marry capitalism with feminism. You cannot do the two. Can't do it. But they have a tendency of being very judgmental. They don't like radical ideas. They don't like to go to the root of the problem. They're very surface. So I'm like, oh man, this fucking teacher's I'm done here, bro. She gave me a shitty grade. That messed up my GPA. Right? But anyway.
And you chose rock and roll.
Oh, then I just I heard Sun House, and it was a rap. I was like, yo, fuck this degree shit. Sun House is where it's at. Then I was obsessed with guitar. I left the library, and I entered a new library, the library of Cloud William, my guitar teacher, my mentor, and we just played blues day and night, fingers bleeding all over the place, and that's all we did. We played the blues.
So at what age did you pick up the guitar? At what age did you start playing?
First time I played it was before kindergarten, bro. You know what I'm saying? I saw it. I didn't know it was called a guitar. I saw this wooden box with things on it. There's strings, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know what strings were. I saw something, and it made noises, and I flipped out. And I grabbed it, and I remember being on my stoop playing with it for what felt like hours, but I don't know. I was too young to remember exactly how long it was. It was somebody's guitar. When they left, they were visiting. When they left, they took the guitar with them. I asked my mother every day for it. I couldn't get it because I didn't know the name of that thing. And she didn't know what I was asking for. I said, the box, the wood box that makes the noise. She didn't know what I was talking about. So for years, I'm asking for a guitar until I saw another guitar. I'm like, oh my God, that's the thing that makes the noise. Then I picked up the guitar.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I would have so many more questions to dive into on that part, but I guess this would turn into an extremely long podcast. I guess
I've been answering my questions have been too long. Maybe we should get Delila on some of these answers.
I think we're definitely gonna have like a part 2 and part 3 on this one. But but like just to finalize the subject of university and political science. What were you thinking in terms of a career after that? What were you going to do with your professor? Yeah.
I wanted to instigate rebellions on college campuses. My goal, literally, I'm not exaggerating one bit. I'm just being completely transparent and honest with you. My goal was to radicalize as many students as possible and get them to reclaim the universities or burn it down. I'd be for that too, but reclaim the space. I wanted the students to decide what the curriculum was going to be. Because it's happened before. It happened in Berkeley and other parts in I guess radicalized pockets of universities back in the 60s, 70s. But I wanted to reclaim the university as a radical space of complete free thinking, and I wanted to overthrow the U.S. government. That's what I wanted to overthrow global capitalism. That was my goal. I have no other goal but that. You know what I'm saying? And so as a professor, I figured, hey, I could do something. But then I realized that I probably wouldn't make as much difference as I could. I could probably make more of a difference through music because of the rigidity of academia, and even more so now. You can't say or do anything. You will be out. They are firing tenured professors. Trust me. There's no safe spaces.
Yeah, I mean, I've just finished my second degree last year, and I mean, I could go on and on.
What?
Yeah. What's that?
In what?
Music business and entrepreneurship.
Ooh,
nice.
Word. We're going to be picking your brain on tour.
Starting this empire.
So yeah, I mean, always music, obviously, first, the first dream was to be a rock and roll star, and I recorded albums and I was signed and I toured with some of my biggest heroes. And then at some point I was like, man, the band thing it's too much drama, and when you like start in your band, you have like, on my case, it was myself and another 4 guys, and obviously it's like 20% each. Everyone is putting in, if the studio costs 50 quid, it's a tenner each if you're putting fuel in the car. And then obviously when everybody's chipping in, everybody has the same right to say what they want and what they feel is, the right direction. But we all know that, especially when you're in your 20s or early 20s or late teens, if you're a guitarist obsessed playing like 8 hours a day in your room, or if you're a drummer trying to get faster on your double pedal or whatever, you're not necessarily inclined to the business aspect of what it is actually having a band, because you think that a band is just this cool thing that you're going to be famous and you're going to be, with girls and this and that. But you forget that it's a business like any other, and you're going to have to set up as a business and you're going to have to work on it. And it's not going to be like getting your first distribution deal and your first album released worldwide and a couple of tours that will make, you this new superstar. It could happen, but it's very unlikely, especially when you're doing niche music, which was my case, power metal. So,
I knew it. I knew you played that.
So
when you said opera, I'm like, I knew it.
so it's like, I mean, and then it got to a point that for me was just like, I mean, this is just not worthwhile, because if I had carried on, I mean, I would probably have a sustainable business going. I would have a sustainable band. It would never be the next stadium act, but album after album, music, recording music and your publishing rights and your performance rights, and having solidifying partners along the way, you build something for yourself. It's not necessarily it could have not been the main source of income. I don't believe it would ever be the main source of income, but it would be something. But we unfortunately live in a world that not a lot of people believe on the long run. Not a lot of people, and people do change. It's inevitable. Today you want something, and especially in your 20s. I mean, now you want something in 5 years' time. Oh, now I have a girlfriend and I want to buy a house and I don't want to go on the road and stay on the road for 60 days. Fair enough. People change. Exactly. But that was a little bit too much for me. And I was like, I mean, I have to do something that, I depend on other people, obviously. I need clients, basically. But the job depends on me, I mean, if I do my part well, I do my part well. And then I've got a job. You know what I mean? Like, and I can add to people's lives, and I can add to, you know, the artist, and I can make a difference, you know, instead of like having to rely on other people to get somewhere. Do you know what I mean? I still rely on other people to get somewhere. Obviously, I need to work with artists, but my job depends on me. I don't have another two people coming along, and if somebody fucks up, I fucked up, or I lose my deal, or you know, it's not like that. So it's about taking, you know, the realms, I guess, of your own destiny. But yeah, I mean, lots to talk about that. I mean, like, yeah, I've started very young as well on you know, this whole thing. So yeah, we're gonna have definitely time to talk about it. I just felt like talking more about it now, but it's not the moment. It's about you guys. So let's get into something that I'm really interested to talk about, which is basically the writing process of We Will Rain, and how because I was telling you guys off the record earlier on that I've listened to the album before, I've listened to the songs before, but last night, prior to our conversation today, I really took the time to listen from beginning to end with headphones, read the words. I mean, it made a huge difference and a huge impact on me, I must admit. Which is great. I generally am a bit like, you know, if I listen something that really glues to my brain straight away, it tends to fade away. Whereas your music, it's been growing and growing and growing within me. So for me personally, it's an amazing sign. But my question is, the first question is, how did you guys started writing? When did you guys started writing, and what led to eventually hook up with the people that you hook up and get the album that We Will Rain, which is an incredible album, amazing production, Brandon O'Brien. Tell me the story about that, please.
Man, how did we start that story? Well, how it all became about?
Yeah, so writing the songs. First thing, when did you guys started writing the songs? How long before the album being recorded?
It was, I guess it was kind of long before we recorded it, because we ended up recording We Will Rain twice. Once in Nashville, and we hated it. It didn't sound like us at all. They were like they brought in too many like studio musicians and like kind of like bulldozed us. Let's put it lightly. And then so we ended up getting lucky. And the label gave us more money to record with Brendan O'Brien. So that's how we got it recorded with him, and he produced it. But it was during Christmas break. It was like, I remember Christmas Day we were recording, and because he only had like a tiny window, so we actually recorded it really fast, like in the studio. But we wrote the songs. I mean, they kind of had a journey. I think songs like Devil's Dust. Brendan O'Brien had the idea of like the acoustic guitars, like things like that. He like tweaked a few things.
Okay, Delila, but let's backtrack, rewind a little bit. Getting to the studio, having Epic Records backing you, and going to recording Nashville, and then moving and producing with Brandon O'Brien. I mean, to get to that.
Financially backing us.
Financially backing you, right?
That's the only backing we got.
So we ended up getting signed.
But how did you get? How you were not signed at that point yet?
Yeah, we got signed by Epic Records.
No, you left out the most important part. The interesting part. We moved to LA with the dream. That was before that, yeah. Right, and we had a manager, and we shot our goals high. We said we will get a major record. We wanted a deal. We were tired of being in the van, sleeping in the van, people's floors. The only thing we knew how to do is. The only thing we knew is that if we're going to get people to listen to our music, we need a record deal. It's not like that today, but we were like, okay, we're going to get a major record deal in less than 3 months. That was our goal. And I always recommend that. Shoot high, and that's what we did. Yeah. So we actually had the deal. L.A. Reid heard, the manager at the time showed L.A. Reid our song Deportees. It was like a Woody Guthrie cover, acoustic. And he
he liked it. Like, he's a pop guy, but he like was like, okay, they're starting a rock department. So he's like, yeah, let's sign him. So he got signed by L.A. Reid at Epic.
Did he see you guys perform live before that?
No, he only heard the song. And I think he only heard Deportees. I think that's it. And it's like a Woody Guthrie song. It's like a very folky song, but I think he like heard something in the vocals and he like liked it. So
that's the stuff of the dream. That's how dreams are made of, right? Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then we're like, okay, we didn't I'm skipping ahead.
You skip a lot. That's why I
don't want to make it too long.
The backstory is the most important part. Her and I were in a van that was breaking down at this point. We moved to LA with the dream of getting a deal in 3 months, and we were sleeping in the van and on people's couches. That's the most important part of this story. Then Ellery signed us. Because if Ellery just signed you out of nowhere, where were you? You were home, like hanging out with your mom and dad?
I thought we established
we did that, right? Then they put us up in Big Bear right after we got the deal.
Big Bear is like California. It's like lakes, and it's very like woodsy. Yeah. So we rented a cabin in Big Bear, and that's where we like finished writing.
We thought all our troubles were over.
Yeah, we're like, this is it.
We got an advance. Let's get
our troubles were just starting, bro.
I got that check, and I was like, remember like staring at it, like
that check went like that, bro. Like this, bro.
We started taking our friends out to eat, go to sushi. We never had sushi dinners. Like,
bro, that's why I stopped drinking. It's too expensive.
So then you guys are living in this cabin in Big Bear and writing the album, and then you guys, okay, we've got the album, let's go and record it. Who makes the decision to go to Nashville and do this whole thing? Was it the label? Was it the manager?
It was the manager at the time, who knew a place producer and a place we could go, but it just didn't feel right. As soon as we got there, everything felt off. But we kept going with it, and then Edgey was fighting with the manager, like, no, this isn't right. And when we were recording vocals, I didn't even know how to sing anymore. It was like everything was like getting to my head. He was like, no, you didn't sing that right. And like everything was like, he was trying to get me to sing a certain way. And then I just stopped knowing how to sing. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, do I know anything? Like I started doubting everything. And like, I was like, everything was like super negative.
Who was producing?
Yeah. You want to say
what happened?
Who was producing?
Oh, it was Brendan. It was Brendan Benson from the Raconteurs. And it wasn't necessarily his fault. It was his fault because he's the producer. But we went out there, and on day one, I said something's wrong. Hold up, something's wrong here. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why was, it just didn't work. The drummer and bassist that they brought in didn't showcase our songs the way we wanted them to come across. We said, this ain't it. Delila and I put our hearts and souls into every song. I cannot for the life of me hire a studio musician just to do it for a paycheck. I can't do that. It won't translate well. I need people who love our music and want to do it. And it comes through. It sounds mechanical, in my opinion. The tempos were wrong and other things were wrong, whatever. Day one, I'm saying how horrible it sounds right in front of the musicians. No disrespect to them. They were cool people. I said, but this ain't working. They were getting paid a lot of money. So they're like, oh shit, we're about to get fired. They make us do it. The producer pulls us outside, has a chat with us. I said, dude, I don't like this at all. Then it became a fight between us, the producer, the manager, and secretly the manager's telling the producer one thing, they were telling each other another thing. Then they had us turn on each other. And I remember like freaking out and there right in front of them, talking into the headphones. I couldn't see her. I'm like, Delila. It's like, what? I was like, you like this shit or not? And then she was like, I don't know. Okay, something's fucking wrong. If it's wrong, you fucking stop. I'm pulling the plug. Boom, the manager calls us up. Oh my God, another problem. They made us do it. They said, just stick it out. You guys have never made a record before.
That was the thing. We kept like, my gut, like both our guts were like screaming at us, like, no, this is not good. It's not right. Like, yeah. But you don't know what to do in that situation. Like at that point, I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was so lost.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the manager's telling us to keep going, so we just keep going with it.
But everything we thought we manifested in our head came true. It came to reality. We said it in that studio. I've never met the drummer of Rage Against the Machine in my life, okay? But that's one of my favorite bands. Audio Slave too. I said it in the studio. This record needs someone like Brad Wilk. It needs a player like that. It needs him or someone like that. Not this. It needs that. And I was very clear. And it needs a producer like Brendan O'Brien, right? Sure enough, the label liked the record eventually. We rejected it. Delila said, nope, over our dead bodies with this record come out. I'd rather have no record than this record. That's not going to be our introduction to the world, that record.
Do you still have a copy of that? Do you still have archives of that?
Yeah. I'll let you hear it. But we said, you'll be shocked when you hear it, but we said we made a demand onto the label, the A&R, who happened to be the manager, but that's a whole other story. So I said, I was like, listen, we're not going to continue this record unless you get Brendan O'Brien. Are you kidding me? He's expensive. We already spent the budget. I don't care. No Brendan O'Brien, no record. And I got to find a drummer like Brad Wilk. It's my exact words. We're at Tom Morello's house, Thanksgiving dinner. We told him we need a drummer. He goes, oh, let me see what Brad's up to. We text Brad, and the very next day, my phone rings. I'm like, hello? He goes, oh, hi, this is Brad Wilk. Is this Edgey? I'm like, holy shit. I said we were going to get a record deal in 3 months. We got it in a month and a half. I said I wasn't going to sleep on someone's fucking floor anymore. We weren't sleeping on someone's floor anymore. We said that we need a drummer like Brad Wilk. Brad Wilk just called me. We said we needed Brendan O'Brien. That came next, by the way. Brendan O'Brien agreed. No, Brendan O'Brien came before Brad, actually. But that too. Brendan O'Brien is doing our fucking record. This is crazy, bro.
And I think Brad came in because, well, he trusts Tom Morello, who's bandmate, and then he also trusted Brendan O'Brien. I think when Tom said, oh, Brendan O'Brien's doing the record, he came in right away. And then we went, practiced with him real quick. Then we went right into the studio and redid the record.
Yeah.
And you guys knew Tom Morello prior already to the album and the deal with Epic.
He's the reason why we went to LA.
Right.
We met the manager around the same time, and then we went to LA.
Okay, so you guys then recorded the album with Brad, and in my opinion, it's honestly every song on the record is just like, I mean, I can see those songs like on the radio, on David Letterman. I can see those songs. I mean, they're great music is great music, all right.
That's another story. Radio
and great performances of you both, Brad. I mean, it's like, honestly, it's a great piece of work. I mean, I'm sure you guys are proud of it, and you should, because it's really, really good. But then, you guys go and perform at David Letterman with Brad, and you did a tour with Robert Plant, and you have then Tom Morello, so half of the Rage Against the Machine on stage with you in Hollywood. I mean, everything is going really well, and it's the stuff of really dreams are made of. So it
never went well. The moment, the pinnacle, the height for us was in the studio with Brendan O'Brien. The seeds were already planted. There was already friction there. We were already on the downfall behind the scenes. It may have
but not with Brandon. With Brendan O'Brien, the relationship was good.
With everybody, bro, everyone. It's everyone you can imagine. It may have seemed like we're having the time of our lives. We were miserable. It was the worst time of our entire careers. Playing Letterman was definitely a highlight. That felt good. If you showed up to Letterman an hour after we have performed, do you know what you'd see in the streets? Me, Brad, and Delila yelling at each other and fighting on the curb outside. We're yelling at each other over something so stupid. The problem was the people that surrounded the band. You get what I'm saying? Brad has more experience than us, so he sniffed it out right away. That guy's a snake. That one's doing this. That one's going to fuck you over like this and that. The way we went about it was the way maybe Rage would go about it. We can't go about it that way. We're not Rage Against the Machine. We don't have a platinum record yet. You know what I'm saying? Bridges were burned every fucking day. Every day, another bridge burned, another bridge burned. Burn that bridge. We were scheduled to be on Carson Daly And then right after that, another nighttime show. Okay, the day, like, what was it?
Kimmel.
Or Kimmel. So it's no Kimmel. The day before Carson Daly, they cancel Carson. We canceled Carson Daly. We did that. Okay, we did that.
But we didn't.
We canceled Kimmel. We canceled Kimmel Carson Daly. We did that. Now, we didn't know we did that, but we did that. What happened was the manager was a snake, two-faced snake, like one of the worst snakes you can imagine. Something happened secretly with her and whoever else. I don't fucking know. She turns down the Kimmel and Carson Daly, or she turns down Carson Daly. The publicist is confused and goes, "This is impossible to get. You know how hard it is to get Kimmel and Carson Daly? I got you both right after Letterman. You guys are on a roll. I quit. If you ain't gonna take Kimmel and Carson Daly for whatever stupid ass reason your idiotic dysfunctional band could come up with, I quit, because there's no point even hiring me if you're not gonna take the greatest opportunity of your life." The manager lied to us and said that our Sony deal that we signed, the publishing deal, won't allow us to do Carson Daly. I should have been more proactive. I should have called up our lawyer. I didn't. I waited too long. It was too late. How I looked at it. A few months later, I knew it wasn't right. I called up fucking Carson Daly. I called up our lawyer. I'm like, could the Sony deal have prevented us from playing Carson Daly? He goes, absolutely not. Not connected. Okay, so our manager lied to us. Well, that's not, that it couldn't have been because of your publishing deal. I'm like, I'll call you back. I called the manager. I'm like, I want a fucking straight answer right now. He's like, yeah. And there was the assistant I spoke to. I said, tell me the truth. We didn't play Carson Daly because Brad pulled the plug on it. He didn't want to play it. And she goes, yeah, but we didn't want to tell you that's why. Like, why would you take us off Carson Daly and Jimmy Kimmel and get our fucking publicist to quit on us right when we had momentum and not fucking tell us? Why would you lie to us, say it was a publishing thing? Oh, you know, we didn't want you guys to fight. Yo, that was the end. That was the nail in the coffin that fucked everything up. Then we got blacklisted in that process. We got blacklisted by William Morris. Now the blacklist starts. So guess what?
Just a pause, Edgey. Just a pause.
Yeah.
Why Brad wouldn't want to do, after doing Letterman, 2 television shows, high-profile television shows that any musician in the world would want to be on, and he's with you. He just did Letterman. Why would he not do it? Is that the real story as well?
The truth of the matter is, I don't know. All I know is that the manager said it was Brad.
Did you never speak to Brad about it?
It was so dysfunctional that the communications between us and Brad started breaking down because of all the horrible people we had around us. So if it were today, I take responsibility for a lot of it. If it were today, it would have went down completely differently because I would have been more mature in how to express myself to someone like Brad. I lacked empathy. I didn't have empathy. I'm calling myself out. I didn't have empathy whatsoever for another band member, in this case it's being Brad, who's coming into this band from a completely different angle. Someone who's been in he owns Grammys, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he won Grammys. You get what I'm saying? He has experience. He's been in the tour bus, the private jets, whatever you want to call it. He's had all this experience. You know what I'm saying? So all I could see, I had tunnel vision about our career. We need to go to the next level. So the communications broke down. And if Brad had a concern that was legitimate, I would not either, not take it seriously or write it off. You get what I'm saying? I allowed people around us to make decisions for us. And he started communicating with managers and not with us. So everything got funneled to a manager who lied to us. So the communications just fucking collapsed. Afterwards, when we talked to Brad, everything's fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? We don't have those issues, I guess, because I guess I'm more mature now and I'm not the same person I was. So I'm not as petty, or I'm not as like egotistical. Not that I had ego, but like if an issue came up with Brad, we start arguing with each other over what? And when you look back at it, I'm like, why would I argue with someone over something so stupid? Delila wasn't arguing with anybody. What am I, an idiot? Like, it has to be ego. but our world was crumbling around us. So in a way, you can't fault us too much because we're fucking novices at this. I don't know anything about a record deal, bro. We sat in the offices of Epic Records, and our project manager told us that we pulled the song "Wanted Man," which Ellie Reese said was going to be the big song. We pulled it from radio a week into it going to radio. I would never do something that fucking stupid and idiotic. It's the dumbest fucking thing anyone's ever done in the history of fucking music. I would never do that. My face went pale. I'm like, what are you talking about? We pulled that song from radio. He goes, yeah, your manager called and said you don't want that song on the radio. Dude, remember?
Yeah.
That's what was happening. It was so dysfunctional that it had to crumble. It had to fall apart. There's no way a band can stay together and communicate in those circumstances.
But how does a manager gets involved with you, gets a deal with Epic Records? I mean, and you know, again, theoretically, everything is going well for the manager. He got, like, you guys a deal.
Nah, manager had nothing to do with it.
The manager wasn't the manager at the time. He got us the deal, and then it became the A&R at the label. So then we got another manager. He became our A&R, and then we got a new manager when we released the record. And that was a woman, and that's when everything really fell. That's when everything fell apart. That's when all the lying happened. And we went to have a meeting with our project manager, and he's like, "Oh, I heard you were changing the name of the band to Delila." Wait, me and Edgey looked at each other like, what? What's happening? Like, things were happening that we didn't know were going on. Like, and then she was talking to Brad, and like, I think she told Brad at one point that she was trying to kick Edgey out of the band.
Yeah.
I don't know. Things are so nuts. We're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So
Why?
this is not the one that got us the deal. This is like
Right.
when we already.
Because then, like, with like pulling a song out of getting on radio rotation, it's like, how would the label even consider that, considering the amount of money that the label had advanced, and they wanted their money back? So, and owning, I presume no, they paid for it, so they own the masters of it, so they would want that song to be on the radio in order to, you know.
Yeah, but you have to understand the meeting we had when we found out Wanted Man was pulled from radio. We found out on our own that our other song, Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Indian Blood, it hit the top 20 in some the radio charts or something, whatever, alternative or rock radio in the U.S.
Rock.
Nobody told us. Our manager didn't give a fuck about us. She didn't even know that happened. The label didn't even communicate with us. We found out because we Googled it. I was like, oh, shit. We called a meeting. We went in there because our manager wasn't involved. We called a meeting with the project manager, and we went there to see what we can do to get it to number one. I said, yo, that song it cracked the top 20. That's cool. Like, how do we get to number one? Oh, we pulled that from radio already. We went with Wanted Man. Why would you pull that from radio when it gets to number 20? Oh, because that doesn't have crossover potential. Like, oh, they're playing the crossover game. Fuck. I'm like, all right, so Wanted Man can cross over to pop? They're like, yeah. Okay, yeah, but you guys pulled that from radio. I'm like, wait, whoa. We came here to figure out how to get our song from 20 to number one. You tell me that gets pulled from radio, and now you tell me you pulled Wanted Man too, bro? He was like, yeah, you guys pulled it. We didn't pull it. You did. I was like, I did? Well,
The manager was having talks with the label, so I don't know what. Some of it's still a mystery.
It's a mystery. I don't know what happened.
I know that L.A. Reid wanted Man to be the single, and then the radio department, or someone else in the department, another department, it ended up being Life, Liberty, and Pursuit of Indian Blood. But there was like a fight from the beginning, like that they didn't know which song to go with.
At this point, the record has been released. The record is out. Okay, and then in terms of touring, what happened? Did you guys did more tours than the one with Robert planned? And who was booking those tours? Was it William Morris at the time?
No, William Morris didn't do anything. No, he didn't do anything.
No, ITV, who we're still with now, Europe. Yeah, Europe, and but he doesn't do US. He only does Europe and the rest of the world. He was doing it. Rod McSmead.
So Rod was involved. Rod was with you back then already.
Yeah.
Right. So Rod has been since the very beginning. ITB has been your agent since the very beginning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Awesome. Man, and then okay, so this is 2014, 2015. You guys then released an acoustic album, but your second full-length record was Soul on Fire in 2019. What, 2019 or 18? 19?
Soul on Fire? I don't know.
18 maybe?
I think it's like the
18.
end of 2018.
Yeah. I was checking the versions of it, so I've noticed that the first press I think was 18, but then there were some represses by an American distributor, Elephant Arm.
Oh yeah, that's label.
Yeah. So with all the, I mean, I can only imagine the amount of pressure and stress, because like you said, everything that you're saying, Edgey, was becoming reality, and in a very dreamy way from an outsider, not as you described, being inside of the eye of the hurricane, which is what was happening at the time. But how to navigate all that, and how to kind of like get out of like a system that it's a system that could really propel your career, and the things were actually happening, but somehow people were just not allowing you guys to take on those opportunities. And I understand having an influence with what you just described, maybe not having enough maturity, or maybe not having enough experience to deal with certain circumstances. But regardless of all that, this I'm gonna use the word project, not from your side, but from the side of other people that were involved, from the musicians, the label, everyone else. For them was a project. How can a project with so much potential can go south so very quickly and not have a way to, okay, let's take a year off, or let's take 6 months off, let's work this through. I mean, we've done this record, it's great. I mean, let's, you know, why was like a complete part ways, and then you guys went and did basically independently Soul on Fire, from my understanding?
Yeah. And the new album is independent too.
Yeah.
I think after that, man, we had so like, I think like part of the problem with having Brad in the band at that point is like, when things started going south, people would latch onto him, and then we were left like nothing. Like, I don't know, and a lot of the people that we talked to at that time like just stopped, like ghosted us, but they would still talk to him. Like,
they ghosted us because of Brad. Like, they stopped talking to us because they hated Brad. Then they blacklisted us and follow Brad Wilk, comment on all his photos, ask him to hang out, do photos together. They become best, like they tried becoming best friends with the guy. It was fucked up. So we saw
that, oh wow, like this is, like things started getting weird, I guess, like because he could give them more opportunity or whatever. Like people would go to him, like, and they're like, oh, like forget them. That's why we ended up leaving Los Angeles, like a little while after, and just focusing on Europe because we wanted like a clean slate. Like, even we just started feeling like off with ourselves too, like our souls or whatever. I don't know. It just felt like dirty.
Yeah.
After a while of like being around that, and like everything was just so negative. So
we got evicted.
Yeah, we got evicted.
We fought it and won. They paid us to leave. They paid us. LA paid us to leave. There you go. We won. All right. We got the last laugh.
Yeah. So then, where did you move to from LA? Did you go to New York or back to Portugal?
Did we go straight to Portugal? Like,
no, we went straight to Portugal. We got a European tour.
Yeah, we did go to Europe.
Yeah. But what Delila's trying to say, though, because there's a lesson in this, and we knew this beforehand, that if you have clout, if you have importance, if you're a member of Foo Fighters or any band, whatever band it is, you can act however you want. You could be the world's biggest, greatest guy or the biggest piece of shit. You can fuck people over. You can be nice to people. You can do anything you want. It doesn't matter. Your actions have no consequences. People are going to want to glue themselves to you. They're going to love you no matter what. If you don't have that success, you will be blacklisted. You'll be fucking reprimanded. You'll be put down. Like the saying goes, no one loves you when you're down and out. You will get fucked up. That's why when the dust settled, everybody loved Brad but hated us because we're not at that level of Rage Against the Machine. There's no other way to describe it. If Warner Man would have went to radio and popped off and we're as big as fucking Adele, all these people would be fucking calling me up every single day, not ignoring my phone calls. They'd love us. They wouldn't care what we did to them. It's all water under the bridge. That's the lesson we've learned. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, Brad did nothing wrong, okay? When he was in the band, he taught us how to be our natural selves and be punk rock, because my personality was checked at the door. Her personality checked at the door. We were little bitches in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him when we were doing a radio interview in Austin, Texas, right? It was a glass, like, it was a bar with a big, like, glass kind of front, so you can see inside. And we're looking at the radio interviewer person that we're going to do the interview with. I saw Brad curse out the bouncer because they said he can't bring his water in. He told him to go fuck himself, this and that. And the radio, this is live radio. And they're going, oh, Les National's coming in to do an interview. Oh, they're not coming to do an interview. Oh, looks like they're fighting with the bouncer. Something's happening. Oh, they're walking away. Oh, they're cursing out the bouncer again. I've learned from Brad to stand up for yourself. To me, that's one of the greatest things I've ever fucking seen in this band. I was like, oh my God, I could do that? No, I can't do that. He could do that. I can't do that. I get blacklisted. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He did nothing wrong. I stood up for him. The last stuff, we had his back. Like, yo, fuck that shit. That's awesome. I can't believe we just did that. All of us felt empowered. What did we do? We played in the streets. We were hanging out. We didn't give a fuck about that radio interview. We got empowered by that. You know what I'm saying? So Brad wouldn't do anything wrong. But according to the manager, he did. All of a sudden, they're making us fight with Brad, trying to get him to do something or this and that, when Brad didn't do anything fucking wrong. So why is it on us to try to, then they'll go, oh, you shouldn't play with Brad. You should do this. They're trying to split us apart. What did the guy fucking do that was so fucking wrong? What does he do? He plays his drums too loud? This is rock, bro. He's supposed to play drums loud. What the fuck did he do? He cursed out the fucking guy who didn't allow him in the club with water? Good. What's the problem? You know what I'm saying? We had to deal with that shit. So these people telling us to not play with Brad, we told them to go fuck themselves. We're playing with Brad. When the band broke up, they loved Brad, but they hated us. What the fuck did we do? Nothing. Like that's when we realized you can do whatever you want if you're successful. If you have mediocre success or you're kind of successful, if you pack out a 2,000 capacity club, not good enough. You have to be like on the level of like Foo Fighters. You got to be successful if you're going to do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened.
Did you guys do more than the Robert Plant tour with Brad behind the drum kit? Or
he did the US tour and then he didn't do the UK tour.
Right. Okay. Right.
He didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. And so getting to Soul on Fire, then how did you guys manage to reorganize the business basically? Because from my understanding, Epic still owns, obviously they will always own the masters of We Will Reign, but were you getting at least your royalty checks from the publishing side of it, from that record? Do you still get that?
I didn't hear the last part.
So We Will Reign, obviously the masters, they belong to Epic, but do you guys get your royalty checks for the songwriting of that record, the publishing of it? Is it like an income of stream that is well established and you guys receive it?
We do get a little something.
A little bit.
Yeah, I think they do own part of it, but we get like
we're still recouping, I think.
Yeah.
We borrow mad money from them. We borrow like
especially doing the album
over $1 million, I'll tell you that much. So yeah. I'll be paying that back forever.
And then to put together like Soul on Fire and then record it and then get what was the name of the producer again? Edgey, you mentioned it to me yesterday.
Is it Brandon O'Brien or
no, Soul on Fire. That mixed the album.
Jerome mixed the album.
We produced it, but in Nashville, he mixed it.
Who?
Soul on Fire.
Vance Powell mixed it. Yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. In order for you guys to get yourselves in a position to record an album by yourselves, finance the recording of the album, and get a producer, like a Grammy Award-winning producer, right, to mix the album, that costs a lot of money. How did you guys manage to organize yourselves in order to produce Soul on Fire, basically? Not having a label backing you up, not having a label advancing money to you.
We learned fast. We made all the mistakes in Nashville. I made mental notes of all the things that I thought should happen. She made mental notes of all the things that she thought should have happened. We're all on the same page. We never had one disagreement over the music over there in Nashville. We're on the same page, how it should sound. So everything we fought the producer on in Nashville, we were like, oh, tempos, keys, everything you can fucking think of. Okay? We go to LA with Brad O'Brien. He naturally did everything we wanted to do in Nashville. I fought back with him on a few things, I asked him questions. I pretended to be the producer from Nashville. And I was like, oh, should this tempo be a little faster? Oh, no, it's perfect tempo. Yes, that's what I was saying in Nashville. Should this be in the key of B, not E? No, key of E is perfect. He chose the key of E when we showed him the song in the key of B from Nashville. The key E was our key. We chose the key. He ended up naturally choosing our key. So we learned very quick with Brad O'Brien. When it came time for Soul on Fire, we're like, yo, we could do this ourselves because we know what to do. We learned it very quickly, and we did. But it needed someone like Vance Powell.
Yeah, we needed to be mixed well. Some of the audio. Also, we had different studios we're doing it in. We had Joey Castillo on drums, but that was in Los Angeles. Then we recorded some of it in Portugal. So.
Right, and did Soul on Fire, did you guys try to make any kind of connections with, I don't know, the old publicist, for instance, to try and get back on that kind of, Letterman route and try to get Jimmy Kimmel again? Did you guys manage to maintain a level of some contacts from We Will Reign in order to try and reignite something as this new company being led by the two of you now, instead of having all these people around you?
Not really. I mean, we a lot of the people.
It's too expensive.
Yeah, the publicist we probably couldn't even afford that we had during that time. She's the top. So this one we mainly we're on Taratata, which is the big show in France, a late night show. So we did more European stuff.
Yeah.
Because we're oh, it's just stay in Europe, and it seems in Europe France was digging us, liked the album and all that, and then we did get distribution from Sony for Soul on Fire in France, which was cool. And then Rod was booking us a lot too, Rod from MTV, the European agent. He was booking us cool shows. So we were just focusing on Europe, and we're still kind of doing that, but we're after this tour and this album, we feel the new album is more commercial. We're gonna try to go back to Los Angeles for a few days.
You mean, Delila, the new album coming out?
Yeah.
TLI 3, yeah?
TLI 3, yeah. Running for a Dream.
You're saying that the album is going to be a bit more commercial, you say?
I think so. We're releasing this song in a few weeks, March 17th. And that's, I think, our most commercial song we've had
to date.
I don't know if you heard it yet. Did we show it yet?
I haven't heard it yet. No, I can't wait to hear the album. Really, it's just there's a lot of anticipation right now. I must admit, I really want to hear it, especially after Edgey told me that you guys had to remaster it and had different drummers playing on the record, and again, so much in terms of getting the final product finalized, right? It's always a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, being independent is man, it's hard. It's hard, but it's also I guess, creatively fulfilling, but it's also like hard financially. It's a lot of ups and downs, and you gotta like think differently, especially if you're not naturally good at money. Like I was terrible with money, so
I'm the money person in the band.
Are you good with finances then, Edgey?
Very good. I pay all the Amex bills. I tell you everything. I tell you what I got in each credit card. I tell you what I got in each bank account.
Okay, nice.
I tell you what's sitting over there, symphonic distribution, 1 RPM, or fucking. I know our royalty statements came in this week. She don't know.
He's good with they're nerdy stuff. That's the nerdy stuff.
We'll be out. Like we'll be out, and she'll be like, "Oh, I really want to get this lamp for the studio." I'm like, you can't afford that right now. Like, why not? I'm like, trust me, you can't afford that lamp. If I showed you the numbers, you might have a heart attack. So
I wanted to buy a grand piano. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Like, I don't think we could do that.
Are you guys
Art.
I think because I have a few other questions that I want to ask you on this podcast, so I think I'm gonna leave TLI 3 for a second conversation. Maybe we can actually talk about it when the album is actually out.
Let's do it on tour.
Let's do it on tour. Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do it on tour. What I wanted to ask you now about was what was from all of the tours that you guys did, what was like the most memorable ones? Because you guys have so many stories and you toured with so many big acts, and I know some of the stories of last summer as well. You guys had problems, and then Delila opened for Kiss by herself, and like I mean, what was like from all of those experiences? What would you say was the most inspiring? Did you guys meet somebody that really inspired you? That you know.
Well, last summer, I would say that Milan airport where we got stuck.
Oh God! Avoid Milan airport. Avoid every airport in Italy.
So we were gonna go to Prague. We were opening up for Kiss, and our flight keeps being like delayed and delayed and delayed. We're there all night from like the night until the morning, and then it finally says canceled. We're like, what the hell? We have to be in Prague today, and we were already on like 2 days no sleep because the travel was crazy. So then there was only one seat available on that morning flight to Prague from Milan. So then I hopped on it, and then they're like, all right, call Kiss and see if you could just play by yourself, like see if they'd be okay with that. And I was already on my way.
Already on the way.
And I remember I was delirious, like.
Yeah. And before she hung up the phone, she's like, and check Instagram. If some girl posts a picture of me, then I know I didn't hallucinate it. I'm like, wait, what?
The flight is boarding in like 30 minutes. So they're still trying to find a way to go to drive or get a car to drive them from Milan to Prague, and it's like not happening.
Wait a minute. First of all, we're with a French band and a whole European crew. Okay, everyone's from Portugal and France. I told all of them they're troopers, but I was like, yo, bro, if you motherfuckers are from New York, we'd be there by now. All right, just straight up. Okay.
But you have to like go through like mountains or something. That's the only thing.
Yeah, we would have went through the mountains.
I would have done it. It's like a 9
We'd be
hour
halfway there already. Watching you get on a plane.
But anyway, so it's 30 minutes for the flight to board. I'm like, let me go. I gotta go. So I was like, I had to run the whole way to the gate before they closed it. So I almost didn't even make the flight. As I'm running, a girl stops me in the middle of the hallway. She's like, Delila, the Last Internationale. I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah. She's like, can I take a picture? Like she was like, so I was like, yeah, sure. And I swear I thought I hallucinated her. So I was like, this doesn't even seem real. But then I did it. That's why I told Edgey, I'm like, okay, I'm on the way to the plane. I'm like, I don't know if I just hallucinated. Like someone asked me for a picture. So, but then it was real. Like I saw her tag us. So I was like,
and she's too humble. She won't tell you the best part of the story. When she's there, she's wearing this gold fucking jumpsuits glittering. And Paul Stanley calls her a rock star. It's like, what did he say?
I didn't get to that part. See, you jumped ahead.
No, you weren't. You left it out.
Wait, we didn't even get to the Kiss show. I didn't get there yet.
Oh, there's more to this story?
No, I'm running to the plane right now.
Oh.
Anyway, I got in the plane. I got to Prague. They brought me. Oh, I wanted to get a harmonica, so I made them stop to give me a harmonica. It's already the morning, and I have to be at the venue. Didn't sleep again, so I'm like totally delirious.
And she still doesn't know if she's getting paid.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, they're like, we have an acoustic guitar there. I'm like, okay, let's stop at a music store and get a harmonica. So I went and bought one. I only had like my gold jumpsuit in one hand and then like my little backpack. I was like holding my jumpsuit that I was gonna wear on stage. So anyway, I think it was before the show I was talking to Kiss's manager, and we were talking about like acoustic, and he said that he loves acoustic music. We were talking about Johnny Cash and all that stuff, and then he's like, oh, why don't you get a picture with the band? So they were doing their whole like meet and greet where the band stands and people like take a picture in front of the band. So I went and Paul Stanley, like I look up at him and he looks at me and he's like, you're a star, darling. I said exactly.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, I can do this. That was before I played, so I got like all pumped up. I'm like, thank you so much. And it's weird because my mom had a crush on Paul Stanley when she was growing up. So I told her about that. She's like, that's so weird.
Oh, but that's a really cool story. That's a very good one. Wow. I mean, when
I went on stage, I just had the acoustic and I yelled to the crowd, like, hey, we're the Last Internationale. I'm so used to saying that. It was just me. And then I was like, but my band is stuck in Milan, so I'm going to play you some rock and roll, just this guitar. Is that okay? And then they cheered. And then they were like, okay. Because people were looking at me like, who's this girl? Like,
what's happening there? Yeah.
Like a week after that, the last Kiss show we did, because we played a few of them over the summer, it was in Amsterdam. And Doc, Kiss's manager, we take the elevator down because he's having the show recorded for us. He's the coolest dude. They record a show for free. They're getting the whole production team to record us on stage. The camera's getting taken out. So he's going down in the elevator with us to make sure this is happening. And there's this pause, right? We're going down, and he goes, wow, what Delila did the other day, man, that was really impressive. I loved it, man. That set was amazing. I was like, yeah, the fuck. I saw the videos and she said it went over well. Yeah. Pause. Silence. He goes, man, you must have needed the money that bad, huh? And I looked at him like, yeah, actually we did. He was like, all right, that's why I made sure you guys got paid. If that girl is going to play by herself.
Man, that's excellent. That's a very, very good story. And you guys did not manage to get to Prague then? There was no flights that day whatsoever?
There were, but not really. It was weird flights, and they were scattered. There was one seat left on her flight.
Yeah, they wouldn't have got. I think you'd had to go to another country, and then not another country, like Verona into there or something like that. Like,
but there were like one seat on another flight, and then one on another flight. There was a car, and I said, "I'm getting this fucking car, and all you fucks are getting in this fucking thing, and we're going."
No, wasn't he in Prague?
Who?
Didn't you call like you?
That's the end of the night.
You were gonna
I said it. I'm
van.
ordering this car. We're all getting in the car, and we're all going. Or as many as you fit, you're getting in there. I need the drummer, bass player, keys, sound guy, in that order. I need drummer first, then bass, then keys. I was like, whoever fits in there, like, oh no, impossible. What about him if he can't get in? Like, I don't know what car they have. I'm renting whatever car they got, the biggest one. We'll get the fuck in there. Oh, I don't know, impossible. I'm like, oh fuck. Oh man, Europeans, bro. This is New Yorkers, bro. We'd be in that car right now on the way. And then some guy offered us a ride for like 1,000 euros, whatever. I was gonna take it. He looked shady, but I didn't care at that point. But then he was shady. We turned him down because I couldn't convince the rest of the group to take the van because they were afraid of it. And when we turned it down, he threatened to go to France and murder their entire families.
What? What? Fuck. That is mental. Jesus Christ.
Bro.
My goodness. I mean, honestly, you guys, I hope you guys, I don't know how good your memories are, but I mean, you guys should definitely be keeping record of all of those stories because you're going to have to write a like a book or autobiography one day about it. Because those stories are crazy. I mean, honestly.
I don't know where the camera guy was. You shouldn't have been recording this.
There you go. Exactly. Those
Dude, I ripped my shirt in the middle of the airport, took my aviator glasses or whatever, my sunglasses, threw them on the floor. I'm cursing every possible word in the dictionary. I'm bugging out. I'm yelling at the top of my lungs. That should have been documented.
It should have been documented, for sure. Maybe the CCTV cameras of the airport, huh? But we're not going to have access to that, unfortunately. Guys, I'm going to leave a bunch of other questions for when we are on the road. Then we can talk about, you know, the new album, what led to the new album, because obviously between Soul on Fire and the new album, we've got COVID, right? We've got that break. I want to know about what happened for you guys during that period. What were the plans that you have? If you had any plans, how that got, you know, basically, you know, demolished. I mean, I can speak for myself. I had like 2020 was supposed to be like a dreamy year, and then I was on tour actually when literally the world, when Donald Trump announced that no flights would be flying back to the US, and I was with an American band and they had to fly back. I mean, it was just absolutely mental. But that's another whole can of worms that we can talk about it. I'm gonna finalize this one with some roller coaster questions, which are very simple, don't need a very long answer, but I'm curious about it. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you guys have or follow any morning routines?
What?
Do we have any morning routines?
Yes. If you follow or if you have any morning routines, something that you guys do it every morning.
When was the last time you've seen the morning?
I don't. Yeah, we usually don't wake up. I don't wake up till the afternoon. We're like late. I go to bed real late, like maybe 4 or 5 a.m. usually. So, but anyway, when I wake up, I say hello to my cat. No, I say hello to my cat. Actually, this is my real routine. The cat wakes me up. I follow him to the front door to let him out, and then I take a glass of water and I sit with my cat and I like drink a glass of water, and then I make coffee because he likes to go outside right when he wakes up. So.
What about you, Edgey?
I get up, I look at my phone, and it's either negative or positive from there. It depends on what's the first text or email I see. If it's a bad one, I'm like, motherfucker, cocksucker, shit, fuck. I make myself a coffee, I curse the day, and then I try to respond to the email. If it's a good one, I'm feeling positive, I still make a coffee, except the thoughts are positive.
Man, we gotta talk about it, man. Control those emotions, dude. Like, it's all in here. You choose what you want to engage with and what feelings you want to engage with. It's up to us. We are the only one responsible. If you read something that you don't like it and it angers you, and then it angers you, you know, you are the only one responsible for feeling that anger, regardless of what it is, because, you know, you are in command. And which leads me to my next question, basically.
Well, I do want to add something, though. I always, after my coffee, while I'm drinking my coffee, I always go to Instagram and Facebook to interact with fans because, A, it puts me in a good mood right away, and I just love it. So does she. So we love talking to people and responding to people because for us, that's the best human connection we're going to get other than our families, the connection that we have with people who follow the band. That's what I do that every morning.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, are you guys spiritual at all? Do you follow? Do you have any beliefs? Anything?
I mean, right now, I mean, it changes. I try to become more in the moment, and like a whole life or death thing. Like I've been in spiritual thing. I've been like grappling with my whole life because when I was little, I asked my dad. Me and my sister asked my dad, what happens when you die? And he told us you rot in the ground and nothing happens. So like from a very young age, I thought about death and like what happens when you die. So I went through like all different like spiritualities and stuff like that. But right now, I'm trying to be more like in the moment and like think of life as like a journey and like try to be a better person, try to breathe more and not react like angrily over like things that happen because like it's a journey and life has like a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of times when you grow most is like when you're pushed, and it's very like it's hurtful to grow, like it hurts you in a way. It's like in distress, but I don't know. That's it.
What about you, sir?
I'd say that spirituality is something that you'll never, ever, if you never mention it, I will never mention it. It's something I never talk about. I think that Hollywood kind of ruined it for me, and he talks of it because they made it so fucking corny, bro, that it's like anything having to do with yoga or meditation or spirituality or anything that's related to Eastern religion, they have perverted it and watered it down and just ruined it to the point where I can't even have a straight-faced conversation with someone unless they know about the subject and I'm just listening. I could do that. I could listen, but I'm not going to talk about it because they ruined it for me. I can't talk about it without thinking about like Leonardo DiCaprio or something. Like it just got ruined for me, right? But I will say this. Making music is a spiritual act. If it's not, then something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Mike Tyson enter the ring, look in his eyes, okay? It's the same exact look. It's the same thing behind his eyes that you see behind Bob Marley's eyes. Any great musician has this. Johnny Cash had it till he died. A lot of musicians lose that spark in their eye. They just lose their body. You know what I'm saying? That's the spirit leaving the body. You know what I'm saying? That's their spirit getting dull. There's something's going on there. You have to be spiritual, whether you vocally express it with words. If you're a musician, you're expressing it with your music and your the way you come across on stage or during a performance. When you see Bob Marley, that's a spiritual act. It's behind the eyes. It's either you have it or you don't. What's his name has it? Michael Jordan. Look at that dude's eyes, bro, when he's playing basketball. That's a spiritual. That guy's like Jesus on that court, bro. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. If you ain't got that thing in your eyes, forget about it. You're done. Like, you know what I'm saying? You turn to like some weird serial killer shit. And I see a lot of that in Hollywood, man. They lack something in the eyes. That's why acting sucks nowadays. But everyone's spiritual. Everyone's fucking got the yoga mats, bro. But they don't have soul. They don't have spirit. So what's going on, bro? Like, what's going on?
We're definitely gonna talk about it. Yeah, definitely, definitely. I just finished reading for the second time today. Where is it? Where are you? Oh, The Four Noble Truths, Dalai Lama, and finishing again for the second time Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And
Marcus Aurelius is the man, bro.
Yeah, that's it's good stuff.
That's a great book.
And I'll tell you something. For me, what has changed my life a lot for the better during the last 5 years. If you ask me, what habit have you acquired during the last 5 years during the last however many years of your life? Meditation, because we go to school, our parents don't tell us about it, teachers don't tell us about it. We just navigate this world of experiences, this world of action and reaction, of the five senses that we have. And we barely know what we are experiencing. We firmly believe that what our eyes are seeing, what we are experiencing, which is limited to the five senses that us human beings have, which is incredible, don't take me wrong, but it's not all of it. But because of millions of years of evolution, of biological evolution, and the Homo sapiens, more precisely for the last 10,000 years, because for the last 200,000 years were the Neanderthals, and this is all evolution, and a lot of our evolution, of our biological evolution, is not recorded because we're talking about, like I said, hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. You know, it's very difficult for us to comprehend what's happening inside of our minds. A lot of the things that are happening in our lives and a lot of the things that create anxiety and stress and happiness are only happening inside of our brains. All our world, my things, now I have to do this, I have to call this person, I have to pay this bill, I'm this, I'm Carl, I do this, I do that, I know this guy. all of this stuff, where is that actually happening? It's happening only here. So that tells me that a lot of the things that, you know, I use, well, a person normally reacts to, and a lot of the feelings that we engage with, basically everything, it's our responsibility to learn how to deal with that, because they will never cease to exist unless if you get enlightened, if you become Sadhguru, if you become an Eckhart Tolle, if you become one of those guys that get enlightened. Because I firmly believe ultimately none of the things that we're going to be doing here will last. You can make a lot of money, you can be super famous, you can be a nobody. It doesn't change. We're all the same. It doesn't change where you were born, the color of your skin, if you're a rock star or not. We are exactly the same. The only thing that differentiates us is our perception, because I can see you two separate than me as physical entities. But who is permeating inside of all of us and the universe in general? People, certain religions, some religions will call Zeus. You're gonna call God. You're gonna call. You can give so many different names, and religion gets into that. You know, we have so many different religions on the planet, and everyone is kind of like pointing to the same direction, which is love, which is what we all are really. But anyway, I find that the fact that you deal with meditation, I can deal with my brain in the sense that, like a computer, so there's many folders. Okay, I need to access this folder here. Oh, but this is like, I hate those memories. And actually, that's a trigger. If anything remotely similar to that happens on my life, I normally react this way. Okay, but now I can observe that, I can understand that, and I can see, okay, I see you there, but I don't need to react to that. It's gonna go. I don't need to react to that. So anyway, it's just like, I mean, we're gonna have time to talk about it. I mean, I meditate like 2-3 times a day.
What would be interesting to talk about on tour, I guess, because not enough time here, is what is often ignored, left out, or understated within the spiritual, I don't want to call it spiritual community, within people who seem to put a lot of emphasis on Eastern philosophy and pervert it, right? And this is what I was talking about initially, is the overemphasis on the metaphysical realm, the spirit or whatever, right? I think that the material and the economic base and the structures of our society has a lot more to do with determining people's outlooks, how we see each other, and how the rules and everything that governs society. It's way more important than, I guess, the spirit or anything like that. The spirit has its place, don't get me wrong. But when you see like quotes by, let's say, like a Jimi Hendrix quotes, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, or something like that, we will know peace, something like that. You know what I'm saying? These are fantasy quotes. It's a very popular one. You see them on college dorms, right? It's a popular quote. It's fantasy. It's never going to happen. This spiritual enlightenment cannot happen throughout within an entire class. It's impossible. It's without class struggle. The physical part is the part that's missing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I try to inject with our music back into society. The ruling class will never have that epiphany. They'll never have a different perception of you. Their perception is the same. It's along class lines. An individual could, but not the class. So when they say, I'm going to pray for George Bush or Donald Trump or Obama, or he has to see it our way, no, forget it. Forget it. There's none of that shit. Forget about the spirit. Forget about enlightenment. I'm concerned only about that physical of the world, and the economics, and the shit that I can touch and see. The economics, because that's what's their class interest, is what's killing and starving out billions of people on Earth. And no enlightenment can overcome that. It'll never happen. But you'll never get the class. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But Edgey, this is you pointed perfectly on my opinion. Yeah. I think because we all are, and you're talking about the very high end politicians, you know,
No, even for the working class, they'll never get enlightened.
Yeah,
the working class can't get it without a physical change in the structure of
all
society.
right. Yeah. On
That's
the
the part that no one talks about. It's like you can't be, as a class, spiritually enlightened and be working for GE and be clocking in and doing things that are soulless, and it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Do you know what I think there is? I understand what you're saying, but it's like when, for example, I personally, I really try to pay attention and be aware of what's happening inside of my head, and in general, just like Delila said, trying to be present, trying to become a better version of myself in order to be good for the people around me. Because if you're not selfish enough to just love yourself first and try to become yourself, a better version of yourself, you can't do that to anybody else. So it starts with individuality. It starts with every single one of us. And I'm not saying that I don't like that I don't want to, own a house in Spain, that I don't want to drive a very nice car, that I don't relate to the physical aspect of things. I absolutely do. I live in this world. I mean, I'm going to live here for God knows how long, hopefully for a long while, same as you guys. But I think the big differentiator is to understand that those are toys and this is interesting things. And there's no way for you, unless if you decide, okay, I'm going to go and live in India or on top of a mountain just by myself. That doesn't sound fun for me, but that doesn't sound fun for me because I'm not ready for that either. Because ultimately, I believe that the only reason, I think that's a very strong statement that I was about to do. I'm going to leave that for another time, I guess. But like, I think ultimately, I mean, we are here to evolve as much as we can possibly evolve as this energy that permeates all of us. I myself, as this physical entity, I'm not going to evolve. This is going to perish, And does that mean that we have an afterlife? Do I believe in reincarnation? Another completely subject, but I believe that we are all one. We are all part of the same universe. We are all part of the same cosmic stardust. We are all made of stardust, So if I get myself in a place where, as an individual, as a spiritual individual, but acting and operating in this existence of ours, maybe I'm gonna head towards, somewhere nice, if that place actually exists. Not that I'm living my life, but I think it also gives you, I was going to say, not that I live my life thinking about that, but it does give you motivation enough to just be good, because if you don't believe in anything, if you don't believe in karma, if you don't believe in heaven on earth, whatever, in Christianism or whatever your beliefs are, that puts you in a position that, you know what, fuck it, I'm here, I'm this individual, I'm gonna try, which is probably what a lot of the people doing bad to the world really believe,
I don't know about that. I might disagree with that part. If I understood correctly, I could be misunderstanding you. What were you saying?
I think on tour we're gonna have some interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but I think I disagree with that. Some of the most ethical societies have been atheists. They don't believe in anything. You see what I'm saying? And that's when I studied philosophy. The question that always came up was, what is morality? Where does it come from? Morality does not exist. There's no existence of it whatsoever. It doesn't exist. It's a non-entity thing. We made it up. And then if you read Foucault, he goes much, much deeper. He delves much deeper into this. Morality is something that's created. Motherfuckers make it up. That's what it is. So in this society, the values have evolved to what we think it is today. People think it's by some divine intervention or it's been given to us from God. It's not. Humans just made that up. So I am more, I'm not anything, I'm no ism, but I tend to agree more with utilitarians in this aspect of morality, because that's pretty much what we're talking about. And morality is measured by pain, but it's not, we can come up with examples where it may not be so, but it's mainly measured by pain. I know it's wrong to walk up to someone and punch them in the face. Why? Because it causes them pain. I don't want to do that. Not because God told me. If God said it's okay to punch someone in the face, I wouldn't do it. I don't care what God says. You get what I'm saying? There's nothing about heaven or spirituality or nothing. This is just simple pain and that's it. That's all it is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to cause that person pain. You know what I mean?
It's about emotional pain.
Emotional pain is the same thing. People feel depressed. You know what I mean?
I think emotional pain is way worse than physical pain.
It depends. It depends what's happening, bro. Like,
yeah, true. Yeah, true. Yeah, if somebody cuts your arm off, it's gonna be very painful. That's for sure.
No, but I wasn't disagreeing with what you were saying about spirituality. Spirituality, you can ask. Okay, Martin Luther King knows all about spirituality. You get what I'm saying? He was also a religious leader, whereas Malcolm X was also a religious leader. I don't think they're opposing philosophies necessarily at the end. There's differences and nuances between the two, for example. But spirituality had its place always, especially in social movements in the U.S. or around the world, right? What Malcolm X and more so towards the end of his life, with Martin Luther King caught up late to Malcolm X. They started to agree at the end. That's why they were assassinated. But they understood. I think that Martin Luther King started understanding what I'm saying because it was the materialism, the base of it, right? That he started to get towards the end of he was going to form an alliance with Malcolm X. It didn't happen. The FBI and CIA had him assassinated, right? So, but it was going to happen. If you watch a documentary on Martin Luther King that came out on his final days, he is very dark. Some of the darkest shit I've ever heard in my whole entire life was his writings and what he said before. He thought America may be going to hell, and there's nothing he can do about it. Talk about cynicism, but he still had hope. They existed in parallel. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What Martin Luther King understood then was that you cannot liberate people you can liberate them spiritually in a way, mentally. Mental slavery is the hardest slavery to overcome, which is what we heard what's the name, Bob Marley say. But if you are spiritually awake and you're great and you're this and that, but you don't own your house, you don't own the company where you work at, you're still a wage slave laborer and all this. This is where the other side, the materialism, comes in. No enlightenment's going to happen until we are liberated from this inequality in society. This ruling class must be overthrown. There's not going to be no spiritual awakening throughout anyone, throughout the class. Individuals, yes, but not throughout entire masses of people. By struggling together and organizing to own the means of production and take things over, whatever, and coming together, it's that process that human beings become the true spiritual selves. They grow into something completely different. That's the only way. Until that materialism changes in society, you'll never see a mass awakening where people just wake up one day and go, I don't want war. I don't think this should happen. It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. 100%.
That's what I was saying. That's my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. Man, we're gonna have lots to talk on the road. I love it. So many ideas and so many, so much like intelligent content to talk about. I love it. You're a very intelligent man, Edgey. Yeah, for sure.
You are, my brother, and so is Delila. I'm just picking up some pieces here and there.
Guys, honestly, I just feel that we could carry on because literally, I had like so much more that I wanted to talk, but I think we're definitely gonna leave for a part 2. We can definitely do it on the road. We're gonna have plenty of time together. But that's, I've said that before. Oh, we can do it on the road, and then 30 days gone, the tour is finished, and you're like, what happened? We didn't sit down to have a chat about, because on the tour it's just like bang 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 bang. And but yeah, I just wanted to thank you both for taking the time today, for sitting down with me and having the chat. And I'll let you know when this is going to be released. I'm going to put some show notes as well. I'm going to put all your socials in it. And any final commentaries that you would like to give to my roller coaster audience here?
Any comments?
A comment? Man, just breathe and I don't know. Have fun, be cool.
And listen to TLI 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I have to hype up the album. Check out our new singles coming out. Woo! Getaway Driver and our new album. Running for a Dream, baby.
Oh yeah. I will add this. You see that up there?
Yeah.
We should be getting all free coffees and everything for free for the sponsorship over there. Look at that. Look at this promotion we did.
Very cool. Very cool.
I only noticed that now.
I'm gonna have to go and visit when I'm in Portugal for sure. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Thank you, brother.
All right. See you soon.
Peace, bro.
Speak later. Bye.